Welcome to the Happiness Podcast. I'm Dr. Robert Puff. Have you seen it? Have you felt it? There's a change going on in our world, and it's powerful. And it can be good, and it can be bad. We carry with us an incredibly powerful machine right now. It's called our phone, our smartphone. And it can be so beautiful, so helpful. In many ways, it makes our lives run just better if we use it well. But at the same time, it comes with potential dangers. When I was finishing up my doctorate in clinical psychology so that I could become a psychologist someday, I did a 2-year internship at the VA hospital in Sepulveda, California. When I was there, I worked with men and some women that had been in the Vietnam War, the Korean War, and even a few who had even served in World War II. And they had been exposed to incredibly gruesome, awful experiences that truly caused them psychological and emotional harm. Things that you and I could only imagine until now. With our very smart computer phones and our access to unlimited things on the internet, we can actually in detail see the things that people who struggle with severe post-traumatic stress disorder now, at the movement of our fingers, see the things that they saw. Our world has changed. And it doesn't necessarily have to be bad, but as we all know, our computers, our phones have gotten very smart, and they pay attention to what we like, what draws us in, what keeps us on screen time. And this can be actually very helpful. If we love art, we'll get suggestions about other art videos that we can watch. If we love cooking, if we love gardening, we'll get videos suggesting topics about these. I've been interested and involved with meditation for over 30 years now. I get a lot of video suggestions on things related to meditation. But I want to ask you a question. Why do we have desserts sometimes after meals? The answer is quite simple. We have them because they're very enjoyable. And if we have a sweet tooth, they're great. But why don't we eat desserts all the time? Because, as we know, that's not very good for us. I heard a story about a study that was done on children who were put in front of a fridge and they could eat whatever they wanted to. And as long as there weren't sweets in the fridge, they ate a fairly balanced diet. But if sweets were in the fridge, they didn't. Having sweets really disrupted and made poor choices for their eating habits. But as adults, we learn to modify that because we know sweets aren't that good for us. People that struggle with food addictions have a lot of health problems like diabetes, obesity, just many things that cause their life a great deal of stress. I think the same can be true in a lot of things in life. If we have a glass of wine once in a while, we do okay. But if we drink a bottle every day, we're going to have problems. So how do these two analogies relate to our phones, our tablets, our computers, and what we have access to today? Think of it this way. If we go out with friends and they encourage us to perhaps share a dessert with them, or maybe even a couple of them because the waiter came by and showed us, oh, they have really good desserts here. Why don't we just share a couple together? It will be so much fun. They look delicious, our friends are encouraging us, and our body is saying, yum, that would be so good. Most of us, I think, would probably have a dessert at the end of that meal, or the two with our friends. But now imagine these friends, these waiters, they go with us with every meal that we eat, encouraging us, enticing us, and they know us so well because they know our favorite desserts. They know what we like. They know what will taste so good to our taste buds, and we indulge. And we then struggle with the health problems that come along with eating too much sugar. I'm pretty sure what I'm going to say next, most of us have already figured this out. But when we get on social media sites like YouTube, like TikTok, like Facebook, these aren't just neutral sites that give us options based on what we type in on what we're going to watch. They know us and understand us really well. And their number one goal is to keep us on that screen, keep watching. It's like the waiter and our friends wanting us to keep eating desserts. And just like our friends, it will periodically inject and tempt us with things that are a bit more stimulating, a bit more exciting. Think of the waiter. He wants us to order more desserts so that we'll spend more money and he'll get a larger tip. And even if we're full, desserts are so delectable that we'll periodically, and if he's a good waiter, often, regularly indulge. Well, when we go on our phone and start scrolling, there's a waiter, a waitress behind that screen that is really smart. It doesn't care what we watch, but it does care that we watch. And let me ask you a question. After a full meal and you're truly pretty stuffed, would you even consider having a dish of raw broccoli at the end of this meal when we're already stuffed? Probably most of us would say no. That's why the waiter offers a dessert, because even when our stomachs are full, we can make room for that ice cream or that chocolate cake or that creme brulee. So we get on our phone, and let's just use YouTube as an example. We're on YouTube, we're watching some interesting videos, again, perhaps on cooking. We like cooking, so we're going to watch cooking videos. But let's say after 15, 20 minutes or even an hour, we're done, we're tired. We don't need to watch any more cooking episodes, but then a video that's very stimulating pops up. Because remember, there's a very smart waiter or AI technology behind our YouTube channel that wants us to stay on the screen. It doesn't want us to get off our phones. And remember, it knows us. It knows exactly what stimulates us, what pulls us in, and it's going to show us one of those videos, perhaps a clip, and it's probably not going to be something good for our souls because, like dessert, we don't eat more food when we're stuffed. Like broccoli, we eat things like desserts because then we're willing to sacrifice more of our stomachs for that dessert. It's the same way with our minds. When we're tired, we don't want to see more cooking classes. We're tired. And now remember, this waiter who I'm calling AI computer technology knows exactly what stimulates us because it spent a lot of time watching us on our phones. And if, let's say, we hate perhaps some professional athlete that we just despise because he plays against our team, that AI waiter is going to find a video about this person that we hate, showing how their lives are going terrible. And even if it's not true, nowadays it can create things that make us all riled up and mad. Or let's say it knows we like a certain type of person that has certain body features, certain body movements that entice us. It's going to pop up and show us someone that just meets our taste. Or let me go back to my PTSD analogy. We're just curious, what does it look like when someone gets killed? What does it look like when someone has a knife stuck in them? Is that good for our soul? Of course not. But it's interesting, it's enticing, and that AI waiter knows it. So guess what? We get to see exactly what it looks like, and it draws us in. All right, deep breath. This has been a little intense, but I'm sharing it today to help us to be aware that we have to make good choices in our lives. If we don't, our minds will be polluted by negativity, by harmful thoughts and images, and that will lead to a life that is unhappy. Why most of us don't eat desserts all day long, even though we may know that they're a lot more enticing than a kale salad, but we stick to the healthy foods because we want to be healthy. It's the same way with our minds and with our hearts. Everything that we eat and drink matters. Once it goes down our esophagus and into our stomachs, it's going to have an impact on our bodies. Eating lots of organic fruits and vegetables are really good for us. I've been eating this way for most of my adult life. And yes, it could change tomorrow, but so far, in my career, I've only missed one day of work because I got sick from food poisoning. That's not a bad record. So we do see positive results when we make good choices. But the same thing is true with our minds. Everything we watch, everything we hear, and everything we think affects us. Everything. And it's best that we remember that AI waiter is really smart. It knows what will keep us on the screen. It isn't necessarily trying to hurt us. I'm not saying that. It just wants us to keep watching because that's how it makes money. It's the same way when we watch something on the television or we go to the movies. If it's boring and no one likes it, no one will come back and they won't make any money. So they have to make it entertaining. It's the same way with our friends. If the conversation is boring, if we don't enjoy our friends, we'll stop hanging out with them. But things that are good for us don't have to be bad. 50 to perhaps 70% of what I eat is organic, fresh fruits and vegetables. I've been doing that for years, and I like it. I really do enjoy it. I don't get tired of it. It tastes good, and my body is very accustomed to it. So if I'm traveling and I can't eat that way, my body sometimes can feel it. Our minds work the same way. When we're feeding our soul good, healthy conversations, watching good, healthy videos, reading good, healthy books, spending time with good, healthy friends, doing things that feed our soul throughout the day, our lives are better. But what happens is when we indulge too much in things that aren't good for our souls, or say aren't good for our bodies. Let's say someone has a habit of eating fried food for every meal and has a huge dessert with every meal. If they switch to having salads, their body, one, will not like it initially, and their taste buds will think it's disgusting. We just get used to whatever habits we have in place. When we have good mental habits, we have a hard time seeing things that aren't good, that are dark. When I watch, say, shows or videos that have something really negative in them, my body feels it. Like, woo, that was intense. But someone else who's used to it wouldn't even notice. So the key is getting our bodies to the point that they're healthy, that our minds are like, I'm going to detox this mind and not put up with that other stuff that just isn't good for my soul. I want to end with an analogy, an image that I think you'll find helpful as you make choices throughout your day and throughout your life. Think of a metaphor where our minds are a 500-gallon aquarium. There's a tube coming in one end and there's a tube going out the other end. And initially, that aquarium is crystal clear, beautiful water. And then let's say, for whatever reason, dark gunk starts coming through the one end, the in end of the aquarium of our mind, and starts polluting that water. And the darker it gets, the worse it gets. When new junk comes in, we don't even notice. That's why people that have exposed themselves to a lot of negativity, after a while, they don't even notice when the bad gunk comes in, and more importantly, they crave it. But a person whose mind is crystal clear and clean, when gunk comes in, 1, it's immediately noticed, but 2, because they keep feeding their minds crystal clear water, that gunk goes out the other tube. It goes through the aquarium of our minds and goes out. So the key of life is saying, is what I'm exposing myself to right now, let's say I'm on TikTok, is this video feeding my soul? And if it isn't, it's going to have an impact on us. And if we don't even notice and we know it's pretty dark, then we probably need to do a major mental detox. And the one thing I've learned after working with people for over 30 years, helping them improve their lives as a clinical psychologist, we all can clear the gunk out of our brains and have a very good, healthy life. It does take work. It does take effort, but it's worth it. If you're able to, keep listening to this happiness podcast. I try to make very practical, specific things that we can do to make our lives better. And if we do them, I believe we'll find that our lives will get better, and even with time, beautiful. Thank you for joining me on the Happiness Podcast. If you'd like to learn more about the podcast, please go to www.happinesspodcast.org. That's happinesspodcast.org. Until next time, accept what is, love what is.